Hello and welcome to Tarkov for Dummies. In this series, I'm going to be teaching you everything I know about Tarkov. If you would like to play PvP, that is your thing. That is not my thing. PvP in this game, if you're just starting out, run. If you can spend the extra 30 to get PvE, I guarantee you're going to have a much better time. It's pretty much the same game without having to worry about cheaters and campers, and yeah. The loot pools are slightly different, but that's, the loot pools in PvE are still good enough to suffice. So, in this episode, I'm going to be running through the maps. So, in Tarkov, you have two characters. You have your PMC, which is your primary character. He is the guy that you build your loadouts for, and you build your armor and everything around. You have full control over your kit that goes into this character. This here is your scav. Scavs are accessible once every 45 minutes. I believe, I can't remember if the timer starts when you finish your raid or once you start it. I believe it is once you finish. So here you have your map pool. This is where you choose where you're going to be going into your raids at. When you are just starting out, the map that you're going to want to start on is Ground Zero. Ground Zero is where most of your early quests are. You can find your Salewas. Mainly here, you can find the shooting cans quest on this map, as well as the vehicle exit. A lot of what you want is on this map here. There are no bosses that spawn here anymore. There used to be one. And it is just a great overall map to run with a lot of PCs, some good health spawns, some good bartering items and construction items for your hideout, and PMCs. I believe 6 PMCs spawn here, and the Lord knows how many scavs. Then you have Streets of Tarkov. If you do not have a good computer, do not run Streets of Tarkov. This is the most demanding map in most games that you could probably imagine. And not just that, it is confusing, you don't know where to go, and it is just a hellhole. There are 2 bosses that spawn on Streets of Tarkov. Their names are Kaban and Kalante. Kaban typically is in the Lexos building, which is the Russian knockoff sanctioned version of Lexus, of course. And Kalante, I believe, is in the motor vehicle school or the police academy. I don't run this map very often. I will try to make a video on this map at some point. However, I know for a fact now it will not be as detailed as I'm sure another video out there. Then you have woods over here. You see these lines, and yes, technically they are connected, but that is really just for transits. And transits are points on maps where you can go from one map to another without having to come back to the main screen and loading back in, and it is useful for some quests. There actually is a quest where you need to go to every single map and I believe get a kill or something and just survive. Anyways, Woods is a very confusing map because when you spawn into Woods, you spawn in the middle of the woods, hence the name. There's a high learning curve for this map. However, it is an earlier game map, so I would suggest you run it. I would also suggest, this has nothing to do with the game, but if you can, download Tarkov Companion. It is a lifesaver. But here you can see the maps. This is Ground Zero, so you can see the exits. You can see, these squares are where you exfil from. They also have where your quests are, and it is very detailed and it shows exactly what you need. For instance, this is the transit to Streets of Tarkov, like I was saying, and because it only has that one point, you can only go to streets. But take reserve, for example. Let's go to the reserve map. So on reserve, you can see there's 3 points here to customs, to woods, and to lighthouse. And you can go to customs, to woods, and to lighthouse. So simple as, it also shows you where the doors for the keys are that you need. Again, where your quest items are, and where bosses spawn. But we'll get into more bosses when we get to reserve. We'll get into Glugar when we go to reserve. So, Kaban and Kalante are brothers. They have kind of the same gimmick. It's them with their big LMGs, and then they have a lot of guards around them. Guards are AI that spawn around the bosses to protect them. They are more advanced than your typical scav, but they are also easier than, say, raiders or rogues. Then we have woods, like I was talking about before. Woods spawns either the goons, or the goons can spawn on woods, and Sturman. Sturman is a sniper, and his 2 little boyfriends that spawn with him, his guards, are also snipers. They have very good accuracy, and they will kill you if you stand in one place for too long. And the AI in this game, something that's very important, the AI in Tarkov is trained to shoot at your chest. Sturman will take your head off clean. Then we have Factory. Factory is the smallest map. Factory spawns Tagilla, as well as, I believe, another 5 PMCs in close proximity. PMCs are, again, they aim for your chest, but they are much better than normal scavs. Factory is mainly useful for quests and quick XP farming, as well as transits to both customs and woods, because a little bit of lore, as you can see on the map, actually. Factory is within customs. It is just off the side of customs, and you go straight from there from woods. Then we have customs. Customs is one of my favorite maps. At first, it was very, very difficult to learn because it is a little bit of a wide map and there's some nooks and crannies that are difficult to get to, but it is a very fun map. Cultists can spawn there at night between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., I believe. They are silent, they are deadly, they will kill you. If they stab you, and you don't have an XTG, which is an injector, you will die because they have a poisonous knife. Then we have interchange. The goons can spawn on customs as well. Same with Rashala. Rashala is a little bitch, but he has 4 boyfriends that spawn with him. His guards will try to kill you very quickly, but Rashala himself is kind of a coward. He really does not shoot you unless he's cornered. Then we have Interchange. Interchange is one of those maps that it's very difficult to know exactly where you are, exactly where you're positioned, because it is very wide. It's very, there's 2 floors, technically 3, because there's a parking garage below, but it is a giant mall. Killa is the boss of Interchange, and Killa is very hard to kill. He has one of the best helmets in the game and one of the best body armors in the game, without being level 6. He also has a machine gun. It is rapid fire. Most bosses do. The only boss that I can think of that doesn't is Sturman, even though he has an SVD, but that's technically semi-auto, and Partisan. But Partisan we'll get to later. So in Interchange, it's very, there's a lot of dips and divots, a lot of places to hide in, and just overall, it's hard to navigate. Then we have Reserve. Reserve is a later game map. You actually need to do a quest to unlock Reserve, but it is a old military base, and Glugar spawns there. Glugar has 4 guards, I believe, if not 5, and they all have decent armor and very good ammo in their guns, because they are in a military base, but very good ammo does spawn here. There's 3 marked rooms. It's a very good map for loot and higher tier gear. Then we have Lighthouse. Lighthouse is very long. You can actually see roughly here. So right where the point, like the tip of my mouse is where your main extract is going to be. Up here, some chalets, and then right here is the water treatment plant. The goons can spawn on Lighthouse as well. They are really the only guard you need, or the only boss you need to watch out for, because they run around the map. I forgot to mention this earlier. The goons are hunters. They will run around the map just like Partisan, but again, I'll get to Partisan in a minute. There's also another boss named Zerachi. He's on the Lighthouse. You do not go to the Lighthouse unless you have a certain item, and the game will tell you to go to the Lighthouse. Lighthouse, the map itself, is fine. The Lighthouse, which is over here, is not fine. Lighthouse has some good, valuable spawns at one of the chalets. It also has some very good ammo spawns in the water treatment plant because that place is overtaken by rogues. If you can see here, there's a little bridge, and you'll see the bridge when you play on this map, and all I can say is do not run across it. There's a guard here that sits on a grenade launcher, and even though, scavs don't exactly have the best aim, it's a grenade launcher. It'll fuck you up. And next we have Shoreline. Shoreline is a good map for some. Shoreline is definitely a wide map. It's hard to completely understand where you are at sometimes. I still get confused on it, and I run it all the time. And Shoreline is actually cool because there's two maps inside of one. Inside the health resort, there's another area called the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is very difficult. A different version of Tagilla and Killa both spawn in there. Killa only spawns when Tagilla has been killed, but they are both very geared. They have a lot of health. Their armor is level 6, and they will ruin your day, as they have to me plenty of times. So Partisan is a bit of a wild card. Like the goons, he runs around, and again, like the goons, he spawns on multiple maps. I thought at first, when I first started playing this game, that he was one of the goons, because I encountered them at the same time. My fucking luck. But Partisan spawns on Woods, Customs, Lighthouse, and I believe Shoreline as well. He is a grenade-heavy boss. He's much easier to kill than most bosses, but he is very grenade-heavy, and he places down tripwires. So if you see tripwires with grenades attached to them, or if you are running around and you hear a grenade click, because they have a very recognizable clicking noise when they go off, then just know that Partisan is in the area. If you're on Woods, he typically spawns around the around the old sawmill or like the marked bunker. If you're on Customs, he usually spawns up behind the tower scav, the tower sniper scav, at the back of the map by the transit to reserve in the back of the map. If you're on Lighthouse, I actually don't know his spawn exactly on Lighthouse, but he could encounter you everywhere and anywhere, and on Shoreline, I believe it's about the same. He doesn't have one set spawn location, so you can run into him pretty much anywhere. The most common place that I've run into him was the old village by the vehicle exit, and that is where I can say that he mainly spawns. Then we have the terminal. I cannot talk about the terminal as I have zero experience with it. I have not escaped yet. I have not gotten that far. So if you want to learn more about terminal, I would suggest going and watching a video of someone completing the game because it looks fun, but it looks so stressful. And in order to get to terminal, you need to use blank RFID cards, which are very rare. And not blank RFID cards, but you need blank RFID cards, which are very rare. Then we have the lab. I saved the lab for last because it's not really like one of these other maps where like you just go normally. You need a Labs access card to get in there. They usually sit around 150,000 rubles on the market. Not super bad, but you can't just go ahead and run labs back to back to back to back unless you have a lot of funds. You also can't buy cards for a while after the early game, but you can find them on scavs and in filing cabinets, I believe, and some bosses. Labs is different because to get loot, you need the keys. On all these other maps, yeah, most of the best loot is trapped behind the keys. Like on customs, you have Dorm's marked room, which usually has very good loot. And on reserve, you have 3 marked rooms. On Lighthouse, you have a marked room. And on streets, I believe, on streets, there's 2 marked rooms. So it's just a very expensive map because these key cards, because it's not just normal keys, it is colored key cards. I can show you a couple here. They are very, 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 very expensive. For instance, 1 hit of a black card is 2.5 million, and that's not even, like, you can't get into the best area of the black room with 1 hit. So here they're sitting around 10 million. But black room is, I believe, the best room, but red has, its perks too. Red is actually an ammo room. So it has very high tier ammo, and it sits around 4 million, usually around 3.5 actually, but it's gone up, I guess. Violet is usually valuable spawns. This sits around 2.5 million. Again, I guess it's gone up to about 3. But the best key card, actually scratch that. Black is not the best key card. Yellow is the best key card. Bitcoin can spawn in there. GPUs can spawn in there. Many, many, many very good items can spawn in there. And it does not break the bank at all. 300,000 for essentially guaranteed that you're going to 5 times that money when you run it. The reason it's not as expensive is because it's the most common card to find. I think the cheapest card, though, is blue, and that's because there's never any hits out of the blue room. But, so if I had to give you my honest opinion, I would say, obviously, run around on Ground Zero for a bit. That is the map that you're going to have most of your earlier game tasks on. You can find good loot. It'll help you train on some good angles for PMCs and for killing scavs. And then I would say go to Woods. Woods is very, very big. Like I said earlier, it's difficult to learn, but it is definitely good if you know where to look. And by the way, I will be making a video on all of these different maps, running it, showing you what I know, showing you where to go, showing you, really what you need. Again, if you don't have to go to Streets, don't go to Streets. Streets is the worst map. And ask anyone, Streets is the worst map. Then I would suggest go to Factory. Then I would suggest go to Customs, then Factory. Then you should only have Shoreline and Interchange out of the 2 unlocked. I'd say Shoreline's better because when you're a lower level, the goons don't really spawn. Interchange, and then obviously Lighthouse and Reserve. But pave your own way. Play the game how you feel like it should be played. And again, I really would suggest, if you can, buy the PvE version. It is so much easier to not have to worry about someone sitting in a corner right at your extract. Alright, well, that's about it. I am going to let y'all simmer on that, and hopefully you found this helpful. And if you did, leave a like, leave a comment, help me out a little bit. That would be great. If you want to see more, well, if it's not out yet, then just wait. But if it is out, then go ahead and watch some more. Alright, I'll see y'all later.